Hi everyone, thank you for taking the time to join our webinar on KTern 101, Managing an SAP S4HANA Migration. My name is KTern and I'm the Portfolio Manager for KTern, the all-in-one product for SAP S4HANA conversions designed to automate and manage system conversion from start to finish. A few things to note before we get started. We'll be sending out a link to the recording of the webinar to whoever who has registered. It will also be available on our website at a later point in time. All participants have been muted upon entry, so please ask your questions via the questions tab and we'll address them at the end of the webinar. The speaker for today's webinar is Vignesh Barni. He is a product engineer and champion of KTown and will run through a demo of the product today. In this webinar, we'll cover SAP S4HANA conversion path and the challenges in managing an S4HANA conversion and how KTern can be used for an SAP S4HANA project management. Finally, we'll walk you through a demo of KTern with respect to project management. Now, without further ado, I'll hand over the webinar to Vignesh.
Thanks a lot, KTern. Hello, everyone. Good morning. And this is Vignesh here. And let's just get started. The agenda for this webinar would be to understand the S4 conversion path and its challenges, a recap on previous webinars, an overview about KTern and what it is and how it can help people migrate from ECC to S4HANA, the challenges which we commonly see with respect to S4HANA migration, and how KTern can help in S4HANA project management, finally an application demo. So when we talk of S4HANA, we do know SAP has set this deadline 2025 so that people from ECC should move to S4HANA. And this is something which lays down the path for the intelligent enterprises. And as we all know, S4HANA is not a destiny, but the beginning of a digital transformation plan, the beginning of something which will transform a business technically, technologically, functionally, and also on the business side, which comes in as part of the business process reimagining and remodeling. As we all know, there is a lot of structural changes when it comes to the S4HANA application itself, right from the architecture where the OLAP and OLTP go together, and from the traditional way of storing data, we have gone into the denormalized way of storing information. And the best example I could think of is AC Doka, which will hold out around 48 tables together. And the best thing which I can think about S4 conversion would be the custom code management. As you can see in the screen, we had a survey about to the current ECC users about their move to S4HANA, and this is exactly what we got. Around 60% of them are concerned about their custom code management, which is obvious because there's a structure change, the application data layer changes, and we can expect the custom codes taking the biggest hit because the investment of the current ECC enterprises go into the customizations because we do know all SAP standard functions cannot cover all businesses, and the power of ECC is in accommodating them by providing the customizations, and they take a hit taken. And the other thing would be the test management. Yes, obviously, because we are talking about business process changes and business process remodeling. And this is not a mere technical upgrade or a transport movement where you technically convert or upgrade your system, more like how you do your OS updates. This is something to deal with billions of dollars earning businesses where there is a transformation happening, the UX changes, the application structure changes, the process flow varies. So in these cases, a rigorous test regime is required. And obviously, test management is something to be taken care. And the other thing would be the data management. Like we all know, it's all about data is the new oil and it is the new wealth. So data management is something to be taken care as well. And The cutover part, the business downtime is something which is also critical, followed by the change management strategy as well as the end user training. So in order to get there, in order to get to this dream, a careful planning and a controlled execution is required, and which is why SAP suggests us the Activate framework: discover, prepare, explore, realize, deploy, and run. And each of these phases carry their own buzzwords. When it comes to discover, we talk about the impact analysis, the business value S4HANA holds, and creating a business case around your move to S4HANA. When it is prepared, it is all about the stakeholder identification, the project preparation, and the charters. When it is explore, we talk about the custom code analysis, the custom code remediation, and making them work fine in S4HANA. And it's realized here's where the things get bigger as well as tougher, where we go through rigorous test cycles, making things smoother and finer so that they work as they were working in ECC. When it comes to deploy, it would be the data validation and the cutover orchestration so that the business downtime is on point and the business will function as is when they go live with S4HANA. So each of these phases carry their own buzzwords and buzz terms when it comes to this project execution. But what is common across these phases? I would call it the project governance, the project management. Yes, be it S4 conversion or re-implementation or even a landscape transformation. We got to be careful about how the project is being executed and how it is getting governed. So that is something which we will cover as part of today's webinar. Before we go further, a little recap on what we have done so far. Like we all know, we started with understanding S4HANA and its impact on the current ECC system. So we came up with something called the assessment or the impact analysis, which will help you understand the business impact, the technical impact, the landscape impact, as well as the functional impact on your system, understand the criticalities, the critical business process, who should be the major stakeholders, and what should be your test cycles, the test cases, what should be your training plans, everything which we will face in the later stages of the project will be presented to you in the form of an assessment report by KTern even before you begin. That comes in as part of the discover phase, where KTern will automatically connect to your system, get these information, and create a business case for the IT management to proceed towards this S4HANA move. And we came up with the next big thing, which would be the testing. Yes, when we talk of testing, we are trying to cover things where the business processes were created a decade or two ago. In those cases, the business process documents need to be updated, and the way the business was functioning has to be understood so that the test cycle happens. So we have something called the test suite, where KTern will help you identify the test cases, identify the stakeholders, provide a sample test data from your master and configuration data so that you can take this testing phase with sheer confidence and you can make it move like a breeze. We'll be covering the test case identification, the strategy, and the test planning. When it comes to the test case execution or the test cycle execution, we'll be talking about different stakeholders, right? Because when we talk of conversion, at one point of time, you could be having multiple copies of your production, and each of those systems will have its own role to play. The sandbox system, the development system, the quality system. In these cases, the test cases remain the same, but the person who tests them is not. When it comes to sandbox, it would be the IT consultant from the system integrator side, while in development, it would be the IT SME from the customer side. Only in the quality, it would be the business end user who will check the UAT testing. In these cases, a clear orchestration and a clear automation factor is something which will drive projects to the fullest. So that is what the testing in S4HANA conversion covers. And the most obvious thing, the custom code management and its remediation. I was mentioning about it being the major concern for our survey respondents, and we also abide by the same. Yes, the custom code management is something which has to be taken care when we talk of S4 conversions mainly, since because when it comes to re-implementation, it is a totally different approach. When it comes to conversion, you gotta understand the level of customizations your system has gone through over a period, since because this could probably define your paths to S4HANA. Either it could be a greenfield or a brownfield. This plays a huge role because when the volume of your customizations are high, it can obviously be inferred that your impact could be higher. It could be higher. In those cases, the effort required from the technical team or the ABAP team to remediate them exponentially increases, as well as the test cases or the test executions or the testing that comes with it. So, which is why custom code analysis plays a huge role during your discovery or your assessment phase. So you can probably decide your path to S4HANA. And the customizations, when it comes to the realization phase where you start remediating your custom code, you'll be talking about automatically remediating them and how KTern can help you in identifying the optimization potential, the adaptation potential, as well as the security concerns which KTern found with respect to a piece of code. That is what was covered as part of the custom code management. So here I present to you guys KTern, an all-in-one powerful suite which will help enterprises accelerate their move from ECC to S4HANA. And I would call the unique values to be something which is all-in-one. Everything stays in one place, since because we are talking about, we're not talking about a mere software project, but a digital transformation project, which means the business decisions or the business process documentations or any kind of activity pertaining to this project has to be in one place, so that there are no silo systems introduced or there are no disparate systems in place so that to manage your project. And the X factor would be this product is designed and developed by people who understand SAP and who have been delivering SAP projects for over a decade. So whosoever built this knows what they are doing and why. The why part plays a huge role. It is not what it does and how it does, it is the why part, because we understand the pain or the challenges or the risks as the showstoppers during a project, and we created this to solve that. And the S4HANA pedia. We coined this term since because it is a combination of S4HANA and Wikipedia together, S4HANA pedia. This is a data reinforced algorithm which we have built on cloud, which will be aware of the S4HANA capabilities, the functionalities, the best practices, the issues and the possible risk cases or the roadmap or the simplifications or the custom code databases. So all these combined together, and we build this so that this can drive the entire KTern engine for the projects to be executed. And all of this sits on top of the project management framework, which we have made it robust enough that it can take care of your activities, your tasks, your CTAs, your workflows, your notifications, your documentations, and the housekeeping of your entire project. And we have got it qualified with SAP as well. Yes, I was talking about how KTern can do all this. Yes, we have built 12 main modules to do this. It starts from the impact analysis, where you will be focusing on the assessment and understanding the impact of your on the system, and we'll be talking about the business value of SAP. The other thing would be the roadmap guide, where we will cover the digital transformation roadmap which the system has to go through, since because we have Ariba, Concur, and success factors after S4, because the next immediate question for people is that I'm in S4, what now? So we kind of answer that with respect to the roadmap guide, and we have the effort estimation. Like I said before, and I would like to reiterate it again, S4HANA transformation is not a mere technical upgrade, but a whole new business process transformation. So we got to be careful about the effort estimation in here. Most of the time, it goes below the line. because we forget to take care of the change management strategy as well as the business process knowledge which should come from the customer side. And it is also the testing effort which we might have to calculate when we provide an effort estimate, and KTern helps you do that. The other thing would be the obvious custom code management, which we spoke of. The other thing would be the testing, where the test cycles or the test executions get managed. The data management is something which will take care of your master data and your transactional data validations as well as your inconsistencies. And all these modules work individually and they get orchestrated by the project management, while the license audit and optimization is something which will aim at reducing your TCO before even you start your project. We will cover them as part of the future webinars. And we have the landscape and system management. I'm talking about this automation factor. This comes in through this landscape and system management, where KTern will be able to connect to your system and execute things automatically, provide you with feedback, analysis, and advisory as well. And when we talk of S/4HANA, it is obvious I must talk about the business process optimizations. Yes, KTern does have that too. And the change management strategy will be accommodated by using the training launchpad, while the issues creating in the project or the risks or the defects from testing will be handled by the issue tracking and management. So we follow Activate, and this is how we have built something which will empower the project execution. So what are the challenges which anyone can typically face when it comes to S/4HANA migration? The first thing would be the frequent delays in the delivery completion, because the scope can never get finalized when we talk of SAP implementations or ERP implementations. So the frequent delays in deliverables, and we are talking about large work streams in here, different work streams. The functional stream, the technical stream, the data management stream, the IT stream, the basis, the security, and obviously the project governance team and the project management team. So all of them work in silo with their own roles and responsibilities. How is it that they can collaborate with each other, because one team would require the information which is in the other teams? So these kind of collaborations are one major challenge which we find when it comes to SAP implementations. And the ineffective project management office would definitely mean the governance part of it, the project health trackers, and project projections, as well as the completion dates of things. And because we're talking about S4 implementation or SAP implementation, most of the business decisions will be taken by the business process owners. But you have a rigid workflow or a rigid leadership for any kind of customer base. So in those cases, you got to keep track of your business process decisions that has to be taken, decisions that are going overdue and which is affecting the project health, and sign-off approvals that are going overdue, which will obviously affect the project health as well as the system integrators' credibility, things like that. And we obviously would be talking about different business tools or different management tools when it comes to S4 execution. And the major thing would be the cost allocation, the cost tracking, the cost scheduling, the on-site offshore models. So there's a poll question which will be shown on your screen right now. How many tools do you typically use when it comes to your S4 project execution? We've got three main options: 1 to 2, 2 to 4, or more than 4. Because most of us would be using Excel sheets for managing our projects, and calendars for your events, notes, some kind of notepad or wordpad for your meeting notes, and file drives or shared drives for your file management, and mail communications happen. We could be having a Slack channel or a team channel, and I could already list around 4 to 5 applications. And we are talking about cross-domain project happening in here, because we have the system integrator, we also have the customer, and if not, we could be also inviting a test engineering team when it comes to the test executions. So how to have them all in one place, different silo tools. So that's nice. Thanks a lot for the answers. And we got a average score of option 2 to 4 tools. So wow, the stats look great because there are a few who said more than 4 tools. That's nice, interesting, and looks like uh, KTern is something which you can think about. Yes, we brought everything in place in one place together, so it can make your productivity go sky high. We've got the planning and management which can happen inside KTern. You don't need your Excel sheets or your Microsoft Planner or your Microsoft projects. And we have brought in the chat framework or the collaboration framework inside KTern. So you don't have to think about a separate Slack channel or a WhatsApp group even. And the reporting tools are in place with KTern itself, since because we excel in data. We are good at data and the analytics, as well as providing them on the time series. So we have the project analytics, and we understand project execution. So I should be talking about the milestones, the KPIs and the KRAs. We have that too, and all these happen in one place with respect to the users or the project execution team. So the user management is in place too. And the most obvious thing, the documenting. We have envisioned an auto documentation feature that can help you document every little activity that happened in the project using this project documentation feature. And we do have the meeting notes capabilities, so you can take care of your MOM documentations in here, and you need not have to have a separate pile of notepads or your OneNotes records which is outside the project system. And the project scheduling is something which is obvious, since because we are talking about resources, which is directly proportional to time and money. So we have a feature for that too. There is another poll which will be shown on your screen right now. The question is, we now know what S4HANA has and what are the challenges we see. Do you guys still think traditional project management tools like Jira or Asana or Trello can make the cut when it comes to a huge transformation projects like SAP implementations or transformations even? A simple yes or no question, which will help you gauge on whether the traditional tools make the cut. Yes. Thanks a lot for your answers, and that is definite. We got the same response too, and we can see most of them saying that it cannot make the cut, and it will be actually difficult to only manage a project with a traditional project management tool. So why KTern? Firstly, KTern comes with its inbuilt Activate framework, which sits on top of the SAP recommended best practices. This will take care of the best practices and the best recommendations, which you should take care of when you do a project execution. And the best part is we didn't just take the framework, we didn't just build a framework on top of Activate. We started automating it. I can understand as of now there are around 800 plus activities when it comes to the Activate framework, and we have automated around 150 items of them, and those are the ones which are key for any conversion. Obviously, Activate would have the custom code remediation as a single task item, and as a system integrator and as a customer who understands these customizations, we do know it carries the highest weightage or the highest user story points, when it comes to a project execution. So we didn't just take the Activate framework and recommend by default, we also started automating it. And the third thing would be the business process decision capturing when it comes to this project execution, because few of your business functions could go inactive, few of your add-ons could go incompatible, and few of the simplifications may say you have no functionality in S/4HANA as of now. You might have to think of a workaround. In these cases, these are something which are critical for a business. A business decision needs to be taken care, and you cannot have your project executed and towards the end you have the business user raising a red flag saying this isn't how the business happens and this is totally wrong. So capturing of these business decisions against an activity plays a huge role. The other thing would be the experience and the operational data analysis. And when you talk of this project workspace, we are talking about the digitization as well as the digitalization. And whatever we have as the result of a project would be tons and tons of unstructured data in the form of mails, chats, files, and so many group chats. And all these carry information which could be trivial for a business, be it for the system integrator as well as for the customer. We understood that a single activity could leave so many stray data which could be taken up, which could be fed into a predictive algorithm that can provide you insight on the project execution based on its results it has obtained so far. I will be explaining that furthermore. And when we talk of project executions like these, we should be talking about the phase closures, the deliverables, the sign-offs, and an effective project schedule adherence. So without further ado, I think I can probably go back and get started with the KTern application demo. So this is a KTern application which is hosted on the cloud, which is available for the public. You're free to go around, play around with the product and see what it has got for S4 transformations. And we started this off as a conversion accelerator, and later we understood the potential in automating or in solving a problem which everybody faces globally when it comes to SAP executions or ERP executions. So we have rolled it out for multiple variants of the paths too, the conversion, the greenfield, as well as the public cloud implementation too. So we'll start with what we do the best, the conversion. And this will probably take me into a workspace, which is for me, for the logged in user. And this will have every information about what this user holds when it comes to this particular project. As a user, I can clearly see the work items created by me, the tasks, as well as the issues. I can see the work items assigned to me, the statuses of them, and the work items where I'm just a participant. In this case, I'm just clear of what I have to do and what is my role in here. And it is not just about boosting the productivity of a user by presenting him the list of activities, the tasks or issues which he created or which he assigned. It is about the individuality purpose. It is about understanding the accountability part of it, where he is playing a huge role in this project execution, and how is it that his role is vital for the project to get completed, a sense of belonging for this project execution. Further down, I could see the list items in here. I can probably open it up, which will open me the task issue information drawer. I will probably cover them as we go furthermore. And the overdue items get listed in here based on the planned date calculations, and the items which are due for today gets in here. The user can also track his latest announcement when it comes with this particular project alone, and the collaboration part of it and the meetings get loaded in here so that he can keep track of any meeting, be it the stand-up calls, be it a call with the business stakeholder, or be it something with respect to the steering committee. We have it all in here in one place. In one place matters a lot. And we tried something interesting. Gamification of things. We understood something which spans over an average 7 to 8 months or even a year requires sheer productivity and sheer confidence when doing things. So we started gamifying this project execution by personalizing a user workspace by providing him insights on his performance when it comes to this particular project. So this will help provide us an insight on how he is performing, what is the actual activities which he has completed as of a current date, and what is it he should have completed. A performance tracker on an individual so that he can have his productivity boosted more like an accountability thing. So let's delve deeper. We have the dashboard where we'll be covering things on that. Before that, we should be talking about something which is vital, the heart of any SAP execution, the phase kernel, and it is the heart for the KTern too. We have the Activate framework in here: the discover, prepare, explore, realize, deploy, and run. And we have the list of activities, the list of 800 plus activities listed in here, which we started automating to. You can see the launchers enabled for few of the activities while few of them are disabled. This means this particular activity is automated by KTern, and this activity could be part of one of the KTern modules, which will be shown in the modules kernel, where we will be presenting to you the 12 major modules which drives KTern for automating, managing, governing, and controlling the project. Let's head back to the heart, where I can probably execute items, and there are items which requires a connection to a system. It could be an ECC system as well as an S4HANA system. We have it enabled in the landscape management, where I can probably configure a system just like how we enter a GUI information. I can download the KTern connector, which gets installed on your desktop. It is a desktop application which gets installed on your desktop, a small 5 MB file, and once done, once connected, you're good to go. You'll be able to execute the automated activities using KTern. And remember, there is no OSS node installation, no external plugin installation, or external business configuration sets. It happens outside your SAP system, in your laptop, through the cloud, done on the fly. So that is the credibility which KTern has got, and this instant gratification on finding these results will drive any customer towards S4HANA. So this is one of the automated activities which we provide, the Bible of any S4 conversion, which when we talk about it, the simplification item checks. This can probably cover the relevancy of the simplification items given by SAP with respect to the connected system. I can see the relevant items in here, followed by the status of the simplification items, followed by the result of it. And I'm not going to delve into or go deeper into these line items because they come in as part of the impact analysis. One thing which I would like to differ is that it is not just a read-only report or beautiful analytics presented to you done on the fly. It is much more than that. All these results actually mean one thing: you're moving to S4. These are the relevance. These are the risk areas which you should take care of. Work on it. You can probably select the items which concerns you, go ahead and create a task, and this task will come in as part of the major project plan, and you can probably assign it to the stakeholders present in the project. That way, the collaboration part gets tightly coupled with the impact analysis result, so that the individuals, the functionals, as well as the business stakeholders can work on these items, provide the risk-prone areas and a possible workaround or a solution before even the start of the project. And that's where we are trying to differ, and that's where we are trying to bridge the gap when it comes to the identification of the showstoppers as well as a possible solution towards them. So I'll head back to the project management framework, where it all starts with the project dashboard, which will talk of the basic project information, the start dates and the end dates, and a beautiful analytics done on your task items or the work items in here. It could be the tasks, it could be the issues, and the test cases when it goes furthermore. Since because we are in the explore phase, we may not talk about the test case items in here. And I can probably filter it out to the phase level and the subphase level as well, or even to the stakeholders. So it's not just the analytics, it also talks about the top 5 users who are responsible for this selected or the filtered items. This way, we can have a clear roles and responsibility matrix created for the project users or the stakeholders, so they know what they are dealing with. You can see that Tom Cooper being the top stakeholder for this, and we have the total tasks as well as the overdue tasks listed in here. And furthermore, we have a work item tracker. This way, the project management office can have a clear vision on how the project is progressing every day, day to day. How was it yesterday, and how is it today, and how is it going to be tomorrow? How was it for the last month? How was it for the last year? Things like that. And we provide the upcoming milestone widget, which will help the project get the short wins or the quick wins so that they can probably realize that they are progressing towards the end goal. And the overdue item count gets listed in here in the form of overdue items. People can start working on it immediately. And we have the events widget, which will take care of your calendar events, as well as the announcement widget, which will take care of your overall project announcements. And when we talk of project, I should talk about the charter, which will cover the basic project objective, the charter, the critical information, the scope of work, the assumptions, the risk factors identified, what is the engagement strategy, and things like that. And we also create a work breakdown structure for this project team. Who reports to who takes care of the functional part, who takes care of the finance, or who takes care of the OTC process. So this way, the system integrators clearly know who to approach when it comes to a business decision to be taken or business configuration to be done. That way, a clear visibility on who does what is defined in here in the form of work breakdown structure, which will talk of the reportees, as well as this comes in handy when it comes to the sign-offs and how does the hierarchy appear. So I was challenging the Microsoft Project Planner. Yes, we have something similar to that, which talks about the entire project timeline, all in a single screen, which is actionable. It's not just a simulation, but an actionable insight, which will cover me until the L1, L2, and L3 activities. I can go for by the day view, the week view, or the month view. I can probably link up task items based on the dependencies too. Then would be the milestones, where we talk about the short wins, and all I need to do to create a milestone is fill in the information required, and this can probably help me create a milestone. And when it comes to milestone, we're dealing with two things. It could be a billable milestone or a non-billable milestone. So when I say billable, it asks me furthermore information on the billing amount, which is up to you to enter them, and the billing value it holds when it comes to the entire project, as well as the billing status. The other thing would be the user management or the user collaboration framework, where I could probably have the entire list of users listed in here. And if I want to invite a user, I can probably go in here, enter their information, and this will probably end up sending an invite from KTern to them to accept that and get themselves registered in KTern. So all these on the L1 level or the managerial part. What is it? When does the execution happen? So here's where we are. So instead of the Excel sheets, we have provided the digitization of the structural data, and as you can see, the list of activities, who gets assigned to what, and what are the status levels, and I can probably download them as an Excel sheet if in case you wanted to talk it up, not for executing it outside the system, but for talking it up. And this will open me the task information drawer. And the best thing about KTern is that it helps you capture the information. Whatever you do, it captures it for you. That way, you can define your activity and you can define what has happened against an activity, right? From what the task is, the description, the status, where does it fall into, because that is something which is critical, because you shouldn't be doing something which is not vital for the project and which is not of a strategic importance to the project. So you got to understand where does an activity or a task fall under, by what phase it is, what work package does it fall into, and what is the task L1 for that. And we should be talking about the stakeholders, and you can also be talking about the participants. When I talk of participants, it is similar to that of CCing or tagging people when you send out a mail. So that way, any kind of update happening with respect to this particular task gets them notified about it. And we have the baselines done as well, the planned start dates and the planned end dates, and KTern will capture the actual start dates and the actual end dates for you based on your status changes when you do that. And we have the references which will tag any kind of module or business process related to an activity. That way you could be clear about what you're dealing with. Is this a heavily modified finance system or heavily modified retail system, so that you can orchestrate your overload or underload your resources accordingly. And you can also link it up to a transport request, since because we are talking about the rise of objects and the custom code management. So this comes in handy in tagging those custom codes or those rise of objects, which could play a vital role in identifying any kind of task linked to that custom code object. And like always, we also provide a discussion where people can do some discussions on it, date it, and this will probably post a comment or a chat pertaining to this particular task. That way everything remains in one place, and any kind of files generated out from this task, it could be a deliverable, and you can probably upload it in here, so it remains in here only and never outside the system. So we have the same for the issues and the test cases, and I can cover it as part of the issue tracking and management webinar, and the test suite webinar covers the test case item. So let me head to the calendar, which will provide me the project calendar for the logged in user. He can understand how populous it is. Based on it, he can probably plan his holidays, or his day even. It can see it says how long it spans, what is the start date and the end date, and how many activities has he got in progress for a given day, the month-wise view, the week-wise view, as well as the day-wise view. So when I talk of calendar, I should be talking about the events which KTern can enable you to create. I can head over, click on create event, and I will probably be given the event drawer, which will talk about the event name, the agenda, what is the event date, what is the start date and the end date, who should be the participants, and which activity it falls under. This is very critical, since because anything happens, it happens with respect to Activate framework, with respect to the project alone. Once created, I'll be presented the list of events in here. I can probably go in, have the information which I entered seen here, and I can probably do a meeting note, and it gets saved in here against this particular meeting event. I can see the agenda, any kind of discussion to be posted, any kind of files to be attached. Everything happens in a single place. And we have the files corner, which does the housekeeping for you. Whatever file you upload against an activity gets loaded in here in the files corner, and this will present you the entire Activate framework alongside the list of files attached against this. This way the housekeeping is taken care, since because we are talking about loads and loads of files generated, especially during the test executions, the test script documents, the test execution documents, the logs, the issues, or any kind of meeting documents against one particular meeting. All these gets loaded in here. And we have something called the project forum, which is more like a collaborative way of engaging the audience, the project audience, customer as well as a system integrator. They can probably go in here, they can create a thread, they can probably go in here, say something, have a discussion on happening in this against this particular thread, something which we aim to do, so that a more collaborative way, the Facebook way of doing things happen. So these are the things which can enable a customer or a system integrator to manage an entire S4 project with the management part alone. And the best thing is we are getting in the change management or the change request as well as the risk registry as part of the future roadmaps. So anything with respect to SAP or SAP execution happens in one place alongside the test execution, automation, as well as the custom code automation. And I was talking about the notifications, the workflows, the auto documentations. So I can probably show them as well. So here's a sample of a work item update notification, which a person would be notified when there is a status update or any kind of discussion happening against an activity. It will tag the person who's been assigned to, and it will CC the person who is just a participant. And a meeting documentation is something which is auto-generated by KTern as well. As you can see here, what is a meeting? When did it happen? When was this document generated? And what was the discussion against this activity, against this meeting? What are the meeting notes taken? And what are the CTAs from this meeting? And who are the assigned to people against those CTAs? And what are the business critical decision points taken for this meeting? So everything gets documented in here. So the meeting documentation is something which the KTern users need not be worried about. The same applies for the task documentation, which is comprehensive enough to cover the entire history of the task, right from the linked parent item, what this task is, where does it fall under, who was it assigned to, when did it get completed, what are the discussions against this task, what are the linked task items from this task, is there any child task linked to it, is there any issue linked to it, was there any kind of meeting that happened against this task, and is there any file attached against this activity, and if automated, can I see the results? Yes, obviously you can, since because this is a simplification item checks, we will cover the entire result of that particular activity, since because it is automated and the documents gets generated for you. So that is all for forum. Thanks for joining, and looks like I have covered enough about the tip of an iceberg, I would say, where we are aiming to make the S4 transformation less painful by automating things and digitizing this uh, workspace or the workstream which has unraveled potential. And I think we can probably open up the questions forum. Before that, there could be a poll which we can take up. I was mentioning about different webinars which helps automate S4 transformations. Would you be interested to have a look at that as well? The impact analysis, the testing, as well as the custom code remediation, which will be a fully guided, dedicated demo to you. So we can probably arrange a meeting if you could say yes. So a GTM, so we can probably guide you on the entire capabilities, the depth of KTern in doing the different work streams as we were talking about, the custom code remediation or the adaptations, as well as the test cycle management. What about the change management strategies, and what more has KTern got to offer when it comes to this S4 transformations? Thanks a lot, gentlemen. That would be great. And I think we can probably get started with the questions corner, where we can probably get started with the questions. All right. The first question is, how much time does this save in regards to running the project with MS Project? Thanks a lot, gentlemen, for this question. So when you do a project with using MS Project, you're talking about a traditional project management tool that has been there for decades in executing the plan, providing you simulations. But we have gone beyond more than just that. We don't just help you manage your activity, we help you in automating it that as well, which unfortunately is not something which is as part of this project management webinar. We have embedded the data analytics as well as the task collaboration and the stakeholder management. I'm not sure if MS Projects can help you do that against an activity, files against one particular single activity. And since because you are more oriented on the time, which is rightly the time factor that is crucial for any project execution, yes, we have understood that we save around 30 to 40% of the entire project timeline, thereby automating most of those activities. And this was crystal clear when it comes to an assessment project where KTern had helped reduce the timeline by almost half. 50% of your entire timeline gets reduced when you do an assessment using KTern. All right. The other question is, can I import my custom-made plan? I'm not instead of KTern suggested activities. Yes, KTern's auto recommendation for the project activities is something which is recommended by SAP and something which we took up and automated. If you choose to have your own custom-made plan, KTern can help you do that by importing the Excel sheet or whatever file which you, or the MPP file which you have got. You can probably import it and all those get listed as part of the phase kernel or the all items directory. How to export all these information from this project? Yes, when it comes to the end of the project, we have this retention part. So here's where KTern plays a huge role. You don't just export the information can be chosen to stay as long as it can be, since because there could be further upgrades happening, further service pack releases, further feature packs that get released, and we provide the churn rate, increase the churn rate in terms of helping business to execute items. The IT management or the ticketing tool or the ticketing management kicks in after the run phase, or the continuous optimizations in the form of other business projects or the activation of other S4 components has to take place. And all these get started with respect to KTern with the results stored in KTern. How is the licensing system and how is the pricing? So when it comes to the licensing, it is a SaaS-based application and it is a subscription. It is based on the subscription basis, and we price it based on the ERP users with a license price ranging around $11 per user per month. So which is something which is nominal, since because talking about the volume of the entire S4 migration, that looks nominal. And obviously, this is something which can be discussed as a separate call too. Sure. I think this is something which is already there as part of this application, where you choose to export the data. You want to export the list of tasks to an Excel sheet and probably edit it outside the system and have it re-imported for you. That is something which is not recommended, but since because the question has been raised, you can probably download this information and you have it in the form of an Excel sheet or Excel download. You can open it out and that can probably open up the list of activities in an Excel sheet. You can probably edit it, and like I said, you can, just like you import your task activities or your project plan, you can probably have them imported too. As you can see, the Excel sheet is open and I can probably do that. You can probably do that. That's the answer. Yeah. What is the advantage of KTern recommended task list? Number one, we follow SAP's Activate framework. So we have everything done and dusted. We know what each activity does. That way, we have automated them so that it saves you time. When I say time, you're talking about the effort, the resource, as well as the money. So that gets reduced. The next thing would be SAP has recommended those activities for a reason. Maybe they might look non-strategic when executing a project or in the actual project execution, but they can hold good when it comes to the actual value realization or the value delivery for the business when it comes to the S4HANA in general. And I'll be happy to answer any more questions, if any, from the forum. Looks like that would be it. And thanks a lot, people, and thanks a lot for joining the call. And I believe a recorded session of this entire webinar will be sent to you as well in mail. And you can probably shoot out your questions in the form of an email if in case you have some. And the application is hosted on the cloud, and you're free to visit KTern.com so that you can understand more on what the product has got to offer when it comes to S4 transformations. Thanks a lot, guys. Have a nice day, everyone. It was a pleasure talking to you.